Hey, Brian Young here. Today's video is creating checks and balances in your book selling business. Now, every business needs to have some sort of check and balance system, I believe. And there's three main reasons for this. Good checks and balances in your business is going to protect your business from worker theft. It's going to provide a good foundation for efficiency, and it's going to help with quality control. So we'll start with reason number one. A good check and balance system is going to protect your business from worker theft. You enter into the game, you do your due diligence finding honest people because you understand that employees do steal. And maybe you've stolen some yourself, or maybe you know somebody who's stolen something from work. Even if it was small, it doesn't matter. You know that theft does take place. And so as you're looking for book sourcers and book listers and book sales managers, you want to make sure you're doing all that you can to hire honest people. But I think in addition to that, it's important to set up some preliminary systems to keep people honest, some checks and balances to force them away from the position where it might be easy for them to steal something from you. So the question that I'd ask you, if you already have your business set up, are you doing enough? Or if you're conceptualizing your business and you're about to put it into practice here now that we're in module number 6, have you safeguarded your business enough? And ultimately, even if nobody is stealing from you, if you begin to think in the back of your mind that somebody could, the anxiety can be unbearable. I mean, you're just thinking, maybe you hear stories after you set up your business and you have a couple sourcers and a couple listers and a manager working for you, and you start to think, what if they did steal? Or you start to see holes in the security of your business, and you wonder, is somebody taking advantage of that? And it just begins to eat at you and creates a lot of unnecessary stress and anxiety. So we're going to talk about employee theft a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about some ways that you can safeguard your business to protect against theft. Well, there's 5 different ways that employees steal. And I think the best way to catch a thief is to think like one. Before we even get into these 5 reasons really quick, just think about your business. Think about if you wanted to steal from yourself and you worked for you, what are some ways that you could do that? And one way would be cash. If there's any cash transactions, if there's any money being exchanged. Now, you might not be providing them with money, actual physical green money to go out and buy things, but maybe some of the ways that they use money and then seek reimbursement from you could be manipulated in a way to put more money in their pocket in a dishonest way. So there's lots of ways you can do this. One way that comes to my mind is when somebody is outsourcing books for me. Let's say that they're at a library sale or a thrift store, they get a receipt, they seek reimbursement from me. Maybe they put some personal things on that receipt that I missed. Maybe they snuck in a couple personal items, and so in essence they're stealing from us. Maybe they work the system in a way that they're going to ask for more money from me than they truly deserve. So you just want to be on top of it. You want to make sure there's money changing hands anywhere. There's some type of checks and balance system. You don't want to just rely on their word. You wouldn't want a book sourcer to say, yep, I spent $150 on books this week, plus my finder's fees. Here is how much you owe me. You need to have some checks and balances in place. Otherwise, the temptation is going to be there for people to take advantage of you and to claim that you owe them more than you really do. They can also steal merchandise. Book sourcers are outsourcing books. Maybe they find some books they like for themselves. Maybe they find some books they'd like to sell for themselves, and they pull them off the shelf and they put them in their cart, and that you pay for them, and they bring them home. I mean, they're stealing merchandise from you. They're stealing inventory that you've purchased. They're taking it from you. Or supplies. Again, depending on how your business is structured, if you reimburse your workers, your listers or your sourcers for supplies in any regard, they could be stealing from you that way too. I mean, one way that we always have anxiety about with some of our book listers in the past was we buy them expensive ink for their printers, but we're thinking, but are they using their print? I mean, some people would fly through ink just crazy. I mean, they weren't really listing that many books, and the only time they need to print out anything is when they print out 30 up labels and then the labels that go on top of packages. How could they be going through this ink this fast? And they claim that this printer is only being used for business, but is it really only being used for business? That's a big question mark. Other times they would throw supplies on there. We'd see like stapler. We'd see things on there that we were like, we never agreed to buying those things for you. So why are you submitting an invoice for them? I mean, some of these items are much more personal. Payroll, again, faking about how much they've worked, or how many books they've sourced, or how many books they've listed, or how much managing they've done. If they can kind of tweak in a little bit here and a little bit there, you might not notice, but you know what? They're stealing from you. And it could have a big impact on your business. And finally, information. I think this is one of the biggest fears, is that you're going to be training in a direct competitor. They could take your business model, they could take your book selling criteria, and they can go and they can make their own company. Or maybe they could sell the information that you use to run your business to somebody else, to a competitor. And there is a big danger in information theft, especially for the small business. So what can you do about it? I'm going to give you just a few bullet points here. I'm going to get into more detail about what we do, our strategy to set up some checks and balances system for our business at the end of the presentation. But just really quickly, one of the things that we do is we hire different people to source, list, and manage our business. So we segregate the positions. There was a time when we hired people that would do the sourcing and the listing. But the problem there is there's no checks and balances at all. There's no way we can hold them accountable, really. So if you separate it, you're separating the responsibilities, then you're able to prevent or add barriers for people to easily steal from your company. And then within those positions, create checks and balance systems. Make each one sort of hold each other one accountable. And you can penalize and you can reward people in the system in a way that'll accomplish that goal. Be very strict about tracking money, inventory, and supplies. Be exceptionally strict. Don't be so naive to think that everybody that you ever hire is going to be 100% honest about everything. You can't. Because people steal it's just in our nature to want to steal, I think. And we try to find ways to justify it, too. Add a couple extra steps than you think would be necessary, because if it requires a couple extra steps of communication and reporting, it may prevent somebody from stealing from you. And finally, have workers sign a non-disclosure agreement. We'll talk about that as well. But it's just something on paper that's legally saying, I'm not going to give your information away. And whether or not that'll hold up in court is a topic of discussion. But regardless, at least you'll have something that'll be holding them morally accountable. Maybe their conscience will stop them from selling your information or becoming your direct competitor. And employee theft is a very serious problem. According to Forbes.com, over $32 billion was lost last year from worker theft, and that's in retail stores. I mean, Walmart alone lost $3 billion. Now, that's a lot of money, even for Walmart to absorb. $3 billion. Think about that. I think I just heard that the Star Wars franchise, George Lucas sold it for $6 billion. I mean, that's like a ton of equity, branding, just like it's a household name, $6 billion. Walmart loses half of that every year in employee theft. That's a big deal. And it's especially hard for the small business because small businesses tend to fail. 8 out of 10 fail. And one of the reasons could be employee theft when you think about it. I mean, if enough employees are pulling enough money out of your business, that could really stifle growth, and that could really put an end to things faster than it should. So this is a big deal. So again, I'm going to share with you some solutions at the end. Before I do that though, I want to get into some other reasons why having good, solid checks and balances in your business is a good thing. Having good checks and balances provides a good foundation for efficiency. So you want to have this culture of accountability. You want this professional persona to be felt throughout your business, because I think people will treat your business differently as a result. Having a good checks and balance system will facilitate better communication. So I mean, how I visualize it is, because the lister has to go through these certain steps, they're going to be communicating better to the sourcer, and there's just going to be a better line of communication between the whole team, the sourcers, the listers, and the book sales managers. And if there's a good system in place, if somebody is caught stealing, or just reporting things wrong. Maybe they don't mean to do it. Maybe they bought some office paper, and they bought some things that are irrelevant, that aren't directly related to the business, and they want you to reimburse them for it. If you can catch it at the beginning, then it can be addressed efficiently, and you can move forward as a business. And then the standard of excellence is clear. Expectations are clear. If there's these control systems in place, the people working for you will know exactly what's expected of them, and they'll know exactly what the consequences will be for not adhering to the systems that you have in place, which is a good thing.